Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, is a game that proves that companies can't properly rip off Apple's naming convention. iPhone, iMac, II. The I goes first, guys. That said, I've never played a Fantasy Life game, so this will be my first in the series. Is it any good? Should you buy it? How does one exactly steal time, without being a mediocre employee? All very important questions, but first, what is the game, what are its systems, all of that stuff. Fantasy Life is, at its core, a cross between a JRPG and a life sim. Think Harvestella if anybody actually played that game, or Rune Factory 5 if it were a better game. The main mechanic of Fantasy Life I seems to be your ability to switch between 14 jobs, or as the game calls them, lives, to progress through the world. These lives come in 3 flavors: combat, gathering, and crafting. Sadly, no chocolate. Combat jobs let you beat up the local monsters using your weapon of choice, whether it's a bow, one of 2 different swords, magic, or a stick. Each life in this category has its own skills, strengths, and weaknesses. Some excel at damage, some at healing, and some have a stick. Gathering jobs are how you collect materials, obviously. Whether it's through deforestation, geological vandalism, convincing wildlife to live in your pocket, or growing crops destined to die, you can do it all with gathering. Finally, crafting skills are how you turn your mostly wanted materials into probably wanted finished products. Whether you're whipping up edible experiments, crafting tables nobody asked for, making weapons destined to gather dust in the closet, fabricating mild fashion faux pas, brewing only slightly explosive potions, or creating art, that's this all on its own, these are the skills for you. Now on the topic of these lives, or skills or whatever, I have a few notes. I've only played the game for 8 hours. I know, sounds like a lot, full day of work probably. But at the point that I am in the game, I have yet to unlock cooking and artistry. So while what I say may apply to them, it also might not. Also, after my 1 shift of play, I have noticed some issues that have arisen from these skills. First, combat. Not gonna lie, combat is extremely easy if you've played any other similar games ever. For me, it hasn't really been a problem yet to fight enemies 10 or more levels above me, which sort of messes with the balance. Second, gathering. No matter what the skill is, from what I've seen, it's basically the same mana-intensive minigame. Find the sweet spot in a circle, spam it until either the thing dies or that spot moves, and hope you don't run out of mana before you get to the end. That's it. And third, crafting. Always the same minigame, guys. It's a quick time event thing where you spam the right button in the right way, and yeah, it can be pretty annoying. Now, all of these skills work with a party system where you can have up to 3 people. For example, for the gathering skills, if you have a mining guy and you're doing mining, he might help you mine, which makes it better. For the crafting skills, if you're crafting, then your person will be giving you extra points, which might allow you to finish the crafting. Now, all of the crafting skills seem to work on a skill point system. That is to say, the items and gear that you have give you a score, let's say 100 points. And you're expected to be able to do stuff or beat stuff at around your skill levels. So 100 points to fighting means that you should be able to beat, like level 5 or 6 creatures fairly easily. Where 100 points in cooking means that you can make basic food pretty easily and possibly slightly higher food, but you might also fail at it. Same thing with gathering. You might be able to get your basic trees, but anything too far above you, and you might just not have enough mana or skill to be able to beat it. Each of the skills has its own skill trees that allow you to increase your skill, gain new abilities, earn more XP, or give yourself permanent buffs that make everything easier. Please take them. If you have trouble with any of the above mini games, or if they don't sound very interesting to you, each section is about a third of the gameplay, and while you can skip all of the gathering or crafting things if you really want to, it is, again, about a third of the gameplay. So if you don't like them, the game might not be for you. Now that we're off of the lives, what about the other things that make up the game? The art, the sound, characters, controls, the world. Well, the art is, and I'll be honest here, pretty standard for this style of game anymore. It's got that chibi art style that works well for it, but it's also not much to write home about. Does it fit the style? Yes. Does it do its job? Absolutely. Do dragons have giant heads? Yeah, they do. Now, the sound is usually really good, actually. Pretty varied, well-produced, and fits the world. So what's the big problem? Well, there's a few places in the game where the background music just gets a tad bit too loud and blends into the foreground. Besides that, it's all pretty good. On to the controls. I've only played on controllers, so no keyboard things here. And while the controls are okay and show up on nearly every screen so you can see them, I do wish there was more in the way of customizability. Right now, you can swap a few actions here or there, but some things are just tied together. So you can't always get what you want out of it. It means more time spent learning the controls, or in my case, just not properly doing stuff. Well, two things left. Let's start with the characters. The characters in the world are pretty good, even the ones that appear like throwaways at first. They have their own personality, one's goals, and one's a cat. Honestly, a majority of my 8 hours spent playing the game were actually spent going through the optional new job tutorials in order to meet all of the characters and get a feel for the world. If you don't know, each of the skills has a master and an apprentice learning that skill, and you get to meet them, and each has their own things that they're doing. So I found that to be a good use of my time. Also, I should note, the game does not take itself seriously, like at all. So expect some of the lines and situations to be completely out of left field, which I enjoy, but not everybody will. Finally, the world itself, and this is the largest section, so I'm sorry about that. The world itself is surprisingly more fun to explore than I thought it would be at start. The game's split into 3 distinct areas: the now, the not now, and the other not now. The now functions as your Animal Crossing style village where people move in, you decorate and make houses, and you can set up multiplayer, which I'd have played if I had any friends. I've heard some complaints about the multiplayer, but again, no friends means I can't review it, sorry. The not now is one of the 2 main areas of exploration and where I've leveled most of my skills so far and spent most of the time. It's also where a majority of the NPCs that I met are and all of the life skills. It's villages, guys. Villages and exploration. And the other not now is a large explorable area that I have honestly barely spent any time in because it doesn't have the characters in it. I won't really comment on it, but it does seem large and explorable. Now, each of these areas is completely separate from each other, at least in the early game where I'm at, which means that you don't need to go to all of them at any given point in time, or you won't accidentally stumble into them. And they also all seem to have their own function gameplay-wise. It works well in this game, and I do enjoy exploring and living in the game world, so in my opinion, it's done a great job so far. And at this point, I am 2 pages into the script, and I've explained a bunch of basic systems and all of that, but I didn't really answer the main questions at the front. Is it any good? So I will again reiterate, I played the game for 8 hours. This is very much a first impression thing, and if we learned anything in the past from Bastion Dreamer, I can be very wrong in the first impressions, honeymoon phase. From what I played so far, it's got a very, very strong foundation, and it seems to be building up the world and events in a pretty fun way. My biggest problems with the game are honestly the gathering and crafting skills are very samey, but it hasn't been a problem for me yet. I've enjoyed going through them, I've enjoyed doing this stuff, but my playstyle is very much to keep everything at about the same level, which means I'm going through it very slowly, which is not a problem per se unless you're trying to record a video in which you give first impressions, but you're 8 hours in and barely made any progress, so, might be good for you. Now, should you buy the game? Well, there was some debacle before the game came out where they raised the prices in order to cover multi-platform development, up to $60 for the standard edition, $70 for the digital deluxe edition. I did buy the digital deluxe, I've been playing it since early access. From what I played so far, the game does earn its price point, and I'm expecting to continue to play it for quite a while, even if it's just off and on. It's a fun game for me. Now, that said, the digital deluxe edition is definitely not required to get the most out of the game. You don't need the $70 price point at all. The standard edition, $60 is pretty good for me, but if you can get it on sale, it would definitely be much better. If I were to recommend it to people who are not big into the genre, I would say about $40 is a good price point for what I've played so far. That said, if you already know you enjoyed the genre, or if you're just looking for something, $60 is probably a pretty good spot for the game if you think you'll enjoy it. Finally, how does one exactly steal time? Now, outside of working a 9 to 5 where they don't like you and that's a third of your life down the drain and all that other stuff, in this game, time stealing hasn't been explained to me very far. I'm only like 3 chapters into the game, but from what I can tell, I don't know, seems weird and all over the place. Story seems to be building up to that though. I'm excited to find out, and maybe you guys will be excited to find out too. So, to sum everything up, I enjoy the game a lot more than I thought I would. And I'd never played a game in the series before, so I didn't 100% know what to think coming in, but it's definitely lived up to my expectations. Is the game for everybody? No. Does it have some problems here and there? Yes. Did I play this on PlayStation controller? Didn't try, don't know if it works. Thank you all for watching. I'll try to have a final review up in within a month. It'll take some time because I'll really be diving into the game, and that's about as much time as I think I need. So instead of rushing things, I'll take my time with it. I'm also going to try to get a video up in another game next week, and I hope you all appreciated this one. Thanks you for watching. Goodbye.